Osterberg described the mission. The Azusa Street mission, many stood through. Behind the building stood a small cottage and outhouse. A few large trees on the east side provided shade. The upper room was furnished with chairs and redwood planks supported by backless chairs used for prayer. A sign said, large tin mailboxes were nailed along the walls. A sign above them read, "Settle with the Lord." People deposited offerings as they were moved. Money was as quickly drawn out for those in need. It was said Seymour gave money to whomever was in need. When Bartleman left his missions, gave him an order, fortunate enough to get a seat at all, 600 to 800 persons squeezed inside, with at times another 400 pressing in from outside around every doorway and window. Needless to mention, there was no air conditioning and most didn't wear deodorant. The summer of 1906 was unusually hot. Inside Azusa Missions, the temperature was stifling, and then there were flies. Fly eggs deposited in the previous debris were still hatching.
On the bottom floor, they had horses and a lot of junk in there. It was a pretty dirty place. In fact, one of the newspaper's reporters who visited the Azusa Street mission early on said that the horses had hardly been separated from the flies. The Azusa Street mission was notorious for its flies in the middle of this summer of 1906. He was a likable kind of fellow, and I remember hearing stories from people, at least two people, that talked about the fact that they might be lying on the floor praising the Lord, and one of the things they remember is Brother Seymour coming over and shooing the flies away, so as that they could have a little piece out being crawled all over by these flies in this there in Azusa Street. You can imagine in 1906 summertime with no deodorant, so we had a problem there.
Seymour designed an unusual seating arrangement. He placed the pulpit in the center of the room with the altar in front of it, serving as a bench for persons to use following the invitation. The pews formed a circle surrounding the pulpit and altar, all on one level. This depicted Seymour's vision of oneness in equality. Nelson reported, "Worshippers gathered heads simply to the clergy or choir, but an intimate whole serving one another."
One of the significant things about this Pentecostal renewal at the turn of the century was that every person was a potential participant. There are stories about services at the Azusa Street Mission, for instance, in which the newspaper reporter would say, if you had a verse of scripture to give, you stood up and you gave it. Or if you had a testimony of what God had done in your life that day, you stood up and you told what God had done in your life. So there was an opportunity for every single person to participate in this. And they were encouraged not only to participate in people's movement.
This unconventional seating plan revealed Seymour's conviction that events transpiring at Azusa Mission were different, unique, and revolutionary.
Jesus was too large for the sinner. For him,